History repeats itself. It fails to die. You are now tuned into But What Is Life podcast, the ride to relax, relate, and release into reality where things get fun, real, and the advice is unsolicited. You are now tuned into But What Is Life podcast, episode 1. My name is Ani, and we are embarking on a new journey. Like I said, my name is Ani, and I am doing this podcast because within the last 3 years, I have been somewhat privy to what my purpose is. And it was just the simple fact that when it comes to advice or, just being there for somebody and being able to, pull somebody out of, a dark place just with my words, that's always been my thing, my niche, I guess you could say. It's funny because before, like when I was younger, it was just something that I was just doing. But the older I got, and especially within these last 3 years, it just felt like, God was just screaming at me, this is what you're supposed to be doing, right? And I got confirmation from one of my friends, one of my good friends. She actually told me that, she loves when she talks to me because I always know like the right thing to say. And when she said that, I was kind of taken aback because it was just like, it's not even the fact that I was even trying. It was really just me just doing, to the point where I actually thought about going back to school and majoring in psychology. I am that person where I don't operate on the surface level. I'm always thinking deeper than your average person. My sister actually just recently told me, like, that's your problem. Like, you always wanna go deep and stuff don't even be that deep. I'm sorry, that's just me. But I thought about that and I was like, no, I don't need to go to school. It was kind of like a realization, like, I don't need to go to school to operate how I've already been operating. Like, this is just within me. So I can't go to a school and go to a class and a professor teach me how to do what I already been doing. So, needless to say, I have tried a couple different things. On my Instagram recently, I tried uploading videos, but it just wasn't right because it was like, Instagram is like an instant thing, like something quick right there in your face and then it's gone. So with me, I'm a person that like to talk, so a 1-minute video was just not enough. And then I didn't want to bore anybody with a long video on my Instagram because it's like, they're not even about to watch all that. So then it went on to, I've already had a YouTube page. I've actually had like a YouTube channel since 2015, I believe. Yeah, it was 2015. I started my YouTube channel. I believe that's right. I had my YouTube channel and at that point in time when I did it, it was just, I don't know what I thought I was doing. Of course, it was just, that's when I had first got into YouTube, like really watching YouTube videos on YouTube and stuff, like as far as YouTubers. And it was like, I could do that. But then it was just like, no, you can't, because sis, that ain't you. You don't like being out in the forefront. You don't like putting your business out there. So sis, no. But recently, I have been wanting to post on there. So YouTube got this thing where it's they do vlogmas. If you don't watch YouTube, there's a portion like in December where like the first 25 days of December you vlog like your daily experience and you put it on YouTube. It's just a thing. So I said I was gonna do that. I did a couple days. I did 7 days, I believe. But then it just got to be like, no. It just didn't feel right. Just like the whole Instagram thing on my personal Instagram page, it just did not feel right. Because I felt like I was trying to, yet again, fit into the mold of what was already. And it's like, no. I've never been that person where I try to fit in and whatnot. And I'm not about to start today. So then my next idea was to incorporate this part of me on my business Instagram page in the midst of, just posting inventory for the business and stuff like that. But it was the same as, basically my personal Instagram page. It was just like, no, it does not fit. It's not working. But in the midst of all of that, I did not think at all, like, just do a podcast. I did not think about that at all. Now, I actually thought about doing a podcast like a year ago, but then I just never got around to it. But today, when I woke up this morning, it was just like everything clicked. I won't even get into the vision board that I just recently did. I'm not going to get into all of that in the specifics, but basically this morning, it was like it all came together, and I looked at, because I have my vision board on my phone. So I look at my phone and I'm just like, wow. And I just literally felt this shift within myself. And it was like, bitch, you just manifested all this shit. It was like everything came together. Like, if you stay on this journey with me, on this podcast journey, it'll all start to come to light. And you'll start to see, because of course it'll come out like in different various episodes and stuff like that. But today, it was definitely a shift, and here we are. So now that I done gave y'all that, what I want to call my short version of how we got here, what you are to expect from this podcast. But what is life? You are to expect different things, whether it be my own personal experience. Of course, I want to have guests on here, like their personal experiences, or just the taboo things that we come across just in our reality every single day. That basically sums up the question, what is life? You know what I'm saying? Because although we know what life is on the surface, snap, this is where we get into who I am as a person. I like to dive deep. And I understand that there's more to life than what we see on the surface. So that's what you are to expect from this podcast. We about to get real about anything that we can get real about. So, before we transfer into the topic for today, we're going to shout out the sponsor for today's video, which is Celere. It just sounds good rolling off the tongue. Celere is a product-based business where you can create the ultimate aesthetic in your space, your home, wherever, through Celere Vibes. So, you can check Celere out on www.celerevibes.com, and the Instagram page for Celere is at Celere LLC. Now, how do you spell that? It is www.CELIREV as in Victor, IB as in boy, ES.com. And then the Instagram is at CELIRELLC. Go ahead and check that out. Go ahead, get your life. Catch all the vibes. You know what I'm saying? New inventory coming soon. But now, the star of today's episode is authenticity. So you're wondering, what do you mean, girl? What you talk about? What you talk about today? What you talking about? So, I want to talk about authenticity as far as, did I say that right? I feel like I just said that wrong. But anyway, I want to talk about authenticity as far as operating as your authentic self. That's what the topic for today is, people. Operating as your authentic self. So, I have a question to all of my listeners. Are you operating as your authentic self? Are you operating as your authentic self? Now, pretty much everybody probably feels like they know what that means, but I don't think that people really get down to the meat and potatoes of what that really means. So we're going to break it down today. The first question to ask yourself to figure out if you are operating as your authentic self is, do you even know who you are? And what I mean by that is, what makes you tick? What are things that you know about yourself that you dislike about yourself? And what are things that you love about yourself? And the reason why I asked those three questions is because basically those are the three things where, of course, the good things about yourself that you love about yourself or whatever, that's just kind of self-explanatory. But I feel like when you get to the things that, make you tick and the things that you dislike about yourself, that really kind of like makes up who you are and how you show up in the world. And of course, that goes back to your childhood. Ooh, we getting deep. Honey, we getting deep. This is what I love, y'all. Now, I will say that I do not believe that the vast majority understands that their childhood has a lot to do with how they show up in the world as grown adults. So we're going to get into that today. Now, going to take me, for instance, okay? So, the thing that made me tick, it's a broad spectrum, but the thing that made me tick was my daddy issues. Girl, she getting deep today. The thing that made me tick, and I'm saying made because I've actually been doing the work to authentically operate in who Ani is, okay? Now, we're going to move on to what my dislike about myself was. And that is how I used to be pessimistic. And that actually ties in and correlates, with my daddy issues. So those go hand in hand. But the thing that I love about myself, that no matter what, what made me tick or what I disliked about myself, I always kept going no matter what. And I didn't become a victim to my reality of the things that I did not like about myself, or, the fact that, I had daddy issues. I did not allow myself to become a victim to that. And I fought to be a better version of myself, even with my bad habits in tow. Okay? Now, we have to break all of that down. So, of course, with my daddy issues, that has a lot to do with abandonment. So, that shows up kind of like in a lot of things, whether it be like my friendships, whether it be my relationships, whether it be my relationship with myself, which I did not have in the past. And it all makes sense. I didn't have a relationship with my father, so that pretty much became the landscape for basically every aspect of Ani's life. It is what it is. Now, how me being pessimistic ties into that. Like, before the switch when all of this, the time when the switch of all of this started to happen was May 26th or 27th. No, May 27th of 2017. So, and I was grown as hell. So before that day, I had always been this person where I always just saw the bad in everything. And of course, everybody can agree, everybody can relate to that. I know that there may be, some things where it's just like you can't help but to vision like the worst before you can think about the best of whatever situation is at hand. But when I say I was pessimistic, it was terrible. Like, something good will be going on in my life, but I would literally pick it apart to find the bad. Like, that's how bad I was, like, just in tune with negativity. I was just a person where it was just like, I'm not a lucky person. I don't get lucky. I don't this, like, I just get the bare minimum, and it was like I forced myself to believe that, but at the same time, it was a small part of me, a small beacon of hope that just knew we gon' keep trying. No matter how many doors get slammed in your face, sis, you gonna keep trying. You gonna try to be on. You gonna try to get to the opposite side of all of this. But that, like I said, that was a small beacon of hope that was inside of me, because I just always knew that, like, when it came to like basic things as far as a job, most people just like, oh, I want to get a job where, I like it there to the point where I can stay there for 30 years and then retire, just go to work just to make enough money to pay bills. Yet that was never my mindset. Like, it was just, even though it was like, this is your reality and you got to deal with it, that small beacon of hope just told me, like, no, sis, we gonna do something different. You gonna be the one to change that for yourself. But like I said, that was a very, 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 very small part of me. So basically, we about to get into the steps to take to operate in authenticity. So this is some things that I just came up, as far as like just with my own journey. Because like I said, I've been doing the work, okay? So first, you got to call yourself out. No. You got to call yourself out in order to operate in authenticity. But first, the first step that I feel you have to take is you have to identify yourself, which is the good, the bad, and the ugly. All those insecurities, things that, you strive at, things that you're great at, and then things where you can really get to that low place and you accept that. Baby, identify all of that, okay? Identify it all. Then the second thing that you need to do is, of course, with the good things, those are self-explanatory. But in life, it's all about growth. So in growth, you need to understand why you do the things that you do in order to move forward. You got to understand where you are and why you're there before you can move on to the next level. So with that being said, I hope you understand that when it comes to the bad and the ugly, like the bad things the bad things that you've done in your past and you have accepted for, oh, that's just who I am. And the ugly things that you just don't like about yourself. I hope you understand that in order to operate in authenticity, you got to correct that stuff, baby. And with that means you have to admit to what those things are. So like I already told y'all, the thing that made me tick was my daddy issues, okay? Like I said, that was a broad spectrum of things. And then the thing that I disliked about myself because of that. Not saying that for you it has to correlate or nothing like that. This is just for me. With that, I was always pessimistic. So now we're going to move on to the third thing. First of all, I feel like a robot right now. Why do I feel like a robot? I see, this is the thing, like, and get used to this in the podcast too. Like, I could be talking about something and then my brain just thinks of something and I got to get it out right then and there. Please beware that as we go on this podcast journey, I can be talking about something, and if my mind thinks something, I will literally stop what I'm saying. Sometimes I get off track, but I would just have to get it out. But I just wanted to get out to let y'all know, like, when I'm pausing like that, 9 times out of 10, I'm trying to gather what it is that I was trying to say next by also filtering out what I'm currently thinking about. But that's neither here nor there. But that is a disclaimer. Get used to it because it's going to happen. Now, we're moving on to number 3. So, after you identify the good, bad, and the ugly, and then you admit to those things, you gotta literally switch from the subconscious mind to the conscious mind and start calling yourself out on the things that you want to change. Now, let me tell you this, baby. As easy as that sounds, it's hard as hell. It ain't easy. And I can attest to that because I have been on this journey for 3 years now. But like fully in it for a good 1.5 years. And baby, no, I take that back. No, I've been fully in it for 2 years now. As a starting around like October, November of 2018. I have been fully in this whole journey of doing the work to correct things about myself and really create my reality the way that I see fit and what I want for myself. So, when I tell you, baby, it's hard. And the reason why it is hard is because every time you call yourself out on something, like for me, being pessimistic, every time I had a negative thought, I consciously had to admit to myself every single time I did that, this is who you are, sis. And the fact that that was something that I disliked about myself, it just felt like I was constantly beating myself up. But essentially, that's kind of what you are doing. You beating your ass until you figure it the fuck out. You know what I'm saying? So, like I said, it's going to be hard because you are admitting to yourself every time you do that thing that you do not like, that is who you are. So now, you moving on to the 4th step. When you catch yourself doing it and you get to the point like, okay, this is what I do not like. You have to start doing the complete opposite of that. If you do not correct yourself in that moment, you're not effectively doing the work. And you're not being efficient at it either. You know what I'm saying? You're not doing the work. Like, you can call you can say, oh yeah, that's me. I be doing that. But if you're not actually doing the work as far as correcting that behavior, at this point, you just like the fact that you can say that this is who I am and you're okay with that. And I'm going to tell you now, you should not be okay with that. The bad and the ugly things about yourself, you should not be okay with that. Life is about growth, and it's all about elevating to that next level. A goal for me 2 years ago that I started was I was going to be a better version of myself every single day. Every single day I was going to be that much better than I was yesterday. And the way that I was going to do that was thinking positively, looking at the brighter side of things. When you are so used to being negative, or you're so used to that one thing that you dislike about yourself, like, to really do the opposite of that, like, that takes balls, bruh. Like, I'm not even gonna lie, it really takes balls. So, like I said, when you catch yourself doing these things, you really gotta stop and be like, okay, no. And completely do the total opposite of whatever it is that you don't like. And basically, when you start to do that, you will start to form a habit the more you do it. And then the next step, I feel like, is when you do notice that you're correcting yourself in those moments when you calling yourself out, affirm yourself of your hard work, baby. Like, look in the mirror. If you have to look in the mirror at your face, at yourself, and be like, bitch, you did that. Nigga, you did that. Okay, maybe it don't need to be that derogatory. Baby, you did that. Whatever is comfortable with you. Look in the mirror and affirm yourself. You doing this. You got this. Keep it going. And then the last step is, I mean, you can't do nothing but flourish at that point. And you're authentically being you, I feel like. Because when it comes to like the bad and the ugly, of course, I feel like that has a lot to, going back to what I said earlier, that has a lot to do with your childhood traumas, things that happened that were out of your control as a child, that molded you into being who you are, doing the things the way that you do them as an adult. And that has nothing to do with you. That has a lot to do with everybody else that was responsible for you, or the people that were responsible for you, but they did not uphold their end of the bargain, which puts you in different situations for you to basically, be able to live with yourself due to your current situation or environment. That has nothing to do with you, baby. I feel like as an adult, what your job is to unlearn all the bullshit as a child, especially the as far as the things that do not serve you. Unlearn all that shit. Hell, even the things that you feel like may be good, it served its purpose, as far as like what your parents did, or whoever your guardian was, or whatever, like somebody that you looked up to. Even if you feel like it served its purpose at that time, but you don't necessarily, fall in line with that, I feel like as an adult, it is your responsibility to unlearn all that bullshit and relearn what you feel is better for you, or what works for you. And at the end of the day, that's authentically operating within yourself. So we're gonna get to the moral of the story, because I don't want this first episode to be too long. I just wanted to come in and just introduce myself, introduce what is to be expected. So the moral of the story is, before you can be real with me on this journey of but what is life, you got to be real with yourself. And I, Ani, on today, encourage you to authentically operate within who you are, because first of all, it's free. And second of all, it's liberating. And baby, that's what we need. That's what we need. We need to feel free. We need to feel liberated. We need to feel good about ourselves. Okay? So like I said, the moral of the story is, before you can be real with me, Baby, you got to be real with yourself. Okay? So that was the first episode of But What Is Life. Now I do want to let y'all know I want to have a schedule for the episodes and whatnot, but I ain't got that yet. We ain't got that far yet. This is kind of just it. Literally, like when I woke up this morning, like I woke up out my sleep, like this is what we doing. It was literally like a light bulb went off, so I had to hurry up and like get this out, because I knew if I waited and tried to do it like another time or another day, it just wasn't gonna come out authentic. You know what I'm saying? And especially since we talking about authenticity, baby, I had to do it while it was hot. You know what I'm saying? So I don't necessarily have the scheduling, down to a T. I'm a figure that out. And I also want to let y'all know with this first episode, it is just, the audio, but incorporating the YouTube. Like I said earlier in this episode, I've been wanting to post on my YouTube channel, and now I feel like this is a way for me to authentically operate within who I am and not trying to fit in to the YouTube mode, like the cookie cutter mode of what to expect from what you see on YouTube, even though it's an array of different things. But as far as what I was trying to do before, it just wasn't working. But this is gonna work. So I will be having the visual of the podcast episodes on my YouTube channel, and we'll disclose that at a later date. But yeah, that was the first episode, and I want to thank y'all for tuning in, and I will catch y'all on the next episode.